Welcome back everyone. Have you ever found yourself unable to focus on a task due to constant distractions? It feels like distractions are nearly all the time around, making the ability to focus increasingly valuable. In this video, we will look at some strategies to become better at focusing, including blending out distractions. We start now with a definition of focus. Focus is like a spotlight, the intense concentration or mental effort directed toward a specific task, idea or object. It is about giving undivided attention to something. Scientifically speaking, focus involves the selective enhancement of relevant information while excluding irrelevant stimuli. Being able to focus let us do more work, and I also would say better work. In general, with focus we have a better utilization or use of time. A short story from myself to give context to this point. A few weeks ago we bought a puppy, and since then my attention is flickering around and the hours I had uninterrupted for myself were decreasing drastically. I had to come up with some ways to focus in the hours the puppy is sleeping. In other words, the quantity of the hours I had were decreasing, so I had to come up with some ways to increase the quality of the hours I had remaining in order to get the same amount done. For every one of us, the ability to focus is important. We are literally overloaded with information and attention-seeking things. In an information-rich world, the wealth of information means a dearth of something else, a scarcity of whatever it is that information consumes. What information consumes is rather obvious. It consumes the attention of its recipients. Hence, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention and a need to allocate that attention efficiently among the overabundance of information sources that might consume it. By Herbert A. Simon. Our limited attention meets in our modern world an overabundance of information. With the ability to focus, we can stay focused on an information and go deep into it. Without focus, in contrast, our attention is flickering around information and is unable to get deep into anything. The following strategies are no way exhaustive. I'm only talking about those strategies which have a positive impact on my ability to focus. The structure goes from macro focus to micro focus. This isn't some scientific theory. This is my way of visualization and remembering. On a macro level, we have to prioritize. We have family, relationships in general, work, hobbies, sport, and so on. We have to make decisions on what to put our limited energy and our limited time. In Steve Jobs' words, people think focus means saying yes to the thing you've got to focus on. But that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that are there. You have to pick carefully. I'm actually as proud of the things we haven't done as the things I have done. Innovation is saying no to 1,000 things by Steve Jobs. He talks about the idea and innovation space. However, we can transfer to what I said before to the macro level. What are you willing to put your attention and focus on? We have to say no to things in order to be able to better put our energy and time on things that are really important to us. When we say yes to everything, we do actually all and nothing at the same time. One of the biggest hurdles to getting us to focus are distractions. Distractions are things that take our attention away from a task we want to focus on. The psychologist Daniel Goleman distinguishes in his book Focus, the hidden driver of excellence, between two types of distractions, the sensory and the emotional. The sensory distractors are easy. As you read these words, you are tuning out of the blank margin surrounding this text. Or notice for a moment the feeling of your tongue against your upper palate. Just one of an endless wave of incoming stimuli, your brain reads out from the continuous wash of background sounds, shapes and colors, tastes, smells, sensations, and on. By Daniel Goleman. Sound and visual stimuli can lead to distraction. For example, when our phone makes a notification sound. It helps to create an environment where we have as less distractions as possible. For example, putting the phone out of the room. It is not always perfectly possible, but we can still eliminate a lot of. More daunting is a second variety of lures. Emotionally loaded signals. While you might find it easy to concentrate on answering your email in the hubbub of your local coffee shop, if you should overhear someone mention your name, potent emotional bait, that it's almost impossible to tune out the voice that carries it. Your attention reflexively alerts to hear what's being said about you. Forget that email. The biggest challenge for even the most focus, though, comes from the emotional turmoil of our lives. like a recent blow-up in a close relationship that keeps intruding into your thoughts, by Goleman. Emotional stimuli, in my opinion, are the worst distraction. Even if our environment around us is perfectly designed for focus, when our emotions inside are going crazy, it is extremely difficult to focus. Let's connect emotional stimuli and overthinking. The dividing line between fruitless rumination and productive reflection lies in whether or not we come up with some tentative solution or insight and then can let those distressing thoughts go. Or if, on the other hand, we just keep obsessing over the same loop of worry, by Goleman. So on the one hand, there's rumination, to think about the thought over and over again. On the other hand, there's reflection, to come up with a solution for our distress. There are times when I have a solution, but I'm still finding myself in rumination. In those times, it is really helpful for myself to get into doing, even if it is to force myself with willpower to sit down and do something. Because what I'm thinking, what that brings is when we force ourselves to do something, we put our attention away from the overthinking or ruminating thought to put our attention on another object to think about. We can't stay focused all the time. We need rest. Tightly focused attention gets fatigued, much like an overworked muscle, when we push to the point of cognitive exhaustion. The antidote to attention fatigue is the same as for the physical kind. Take a rest. By Goleman. He goes on explaining that it is not just important that we take breaks, it is also important how we take our breaks. Scrolling social media, playing video games, or taking a walk in a crowded city environment aren't quality breaks. In those activities, our minds are still extremely much working. Taking a walk in nature, on the other side, is an activity where we can let go. Sleep also falls under this point. When we are extremely tired, or at least in my case, when I'm extremely tired, my ability to focus is nearly zero. So getting good and regular sleep is not just good to focus, but also for overall health. This section moves into the actual techniques, and all are copied from Andrew Huberman. Maybe some of you know him. For those who don't, he is a professor at Stanford and runs the incredible podcast, the Huberman Lab Podcast. I will skip the explanation, theory, science part. Huberman is much better in explaining this to you than I ever could. Our bodies follow something called Ultradian cycles. They consist of periods of high focus, followed by a decline in concentration. They are around 90 minutes long and can be initiated by ourselves. After those 90 minutes, our ability to focus drops drastically and we need to take a rest. Andrew Huberman talks about doing 2 or 3 of those cycles of focus work in a day. Important to notice here is that when we start our session to focus, it is pretty difficult for us to focus, and this is normal. It takes 5 to 10 minutes to be really in a focused state. Taking a nap or a non-sleep deep rest session is a great way to get high quality rest. After a nap or a short NSDR session in the form of yoga nidra, even 10 minutes is often enough, I feel highly energized and my focus feels extremely sharp. It is important to take those breaks, to make those high quality breaks in order to be able to focus better. Mental focus follows visual focus. To increase your level of focus on the task you are about to do, stare at a point on a wall or screen or object for 30 to 60 seconds before starting. You can blink as needed. You will be surprised how this takes a bit of effort. That effort you feel is top-down attentional engagement. Then move into the task at hand. Expect your mental focus to flicker on and off, especially at the start of a work or learning bout. By Andrew Huberman. I'm not doing those things all the time. However, I try to focus on the macro things a lot of. For me, good sleep or rest in general and no distractions are a must-have to focus. Now I'm really interested. What do you do to focus? Let me know your ways in the comments. I would really appreciate it. I want to leave you with some words to think about by Parrish, who wrote in his article, "Focus is an art, not a science," the following. Everyone will go about the art of focus in their own way. It takes experimentation, dedication, and an understanding that no one can do it for you. In order to build an awesome career doing hard but satisfying long-term work, you need to build your ability to focus for hours at a time. You need to learn hard skills. You need to let go of multitasking, distraction, and the temptation to be busy. By Shane Parrish. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you could get some value out of it. As always, I wish you a fantastic day.